Hey everybody, and welcome back to Nerd to the Third, Episode 9. Your stop for video games, movies, and everything nerdy. Bringing you the power of three with your hosts, Nick, Nate, and the ever-rotating third chair. He's full of it sometimes, Talking Bull, Anthony.
Hello.
How's it going, guys?
Good. How you doing today? Thanks for having me on.
Nate, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Right now I'm staring at a picture of Marilyn Manson, who apparently is a fan of the Shadow of War game because he looks like a fucking orc. It's an article saying that he collapsed during a concert, but he looks like an orc from the game, and it just caught me off guard. I'm good. Yeah. Let's go.
All right, and Mr. Anthony, go ahead and let people know where they can find you and what do you do?
You can find me on YouTube. Just look for Talking Bull. We're still working on that channel. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Talking Bull PC, and we do a weekly podcast where we talk your weekly nerd news, as well as I live stream, usually on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Sweet. And where can they find that? Also on the YouTube?
Also
under
YouTube. Just look up Talking Bull and you'll find me there. Look for that blue bull logo.
All right, sweet. And Nate, where can they find you? I don't care.
Sitting my fat ass on the couch.
All right, let's get it. First off, a little bit of grinding. Make sure to go to TX3 Productions on Twitter. You can also go to our other podcast, UbiChat. That's where we talk about Ubisoft games in the past, present, and future. So go to UbiChat on Twitter, and you can check us out there too. But let's get to the good stuff. Our first segment of the day is X3 Reacts. All right, so you brought this to my attention. I don't know why. What did I ever do to you?
You're welcome.
But actually, it does look kind of cool. It's called The Innocence, or Innocence.
For the person who couldn't spell it twice. You're like, I think that's it. And I'm like, nope, that's not it either.
Nope.
Hey, at least he watched the right trailer the first time.
That is true. That is very true.
So we got Guy Pearce is playing some science guy. This is the prequel to
Bill
Prometheus.
I was thinking that in my head.
No. Anyways, it looks like it looks actually kind of interesting because it's like it's about a shapeshifter, and so I'm assuming the scientist, he's doing experiments on her, and I'm assuming there's more. It kind of hinted at like maybe there's other people like her. It was really vague, but also showed like a bunch happening, and so I don't normally like those type of trailers, but just like the tone that they were going for was actually kind of interesting. So let's start with you, Anthony. What did you think of it?
I thought it looked cool, like the whole setting of where it's set and what they're trying to go for, like not horror but like atmospheric.
Yes, definitely.
Where it's like they're very much in this two-way roomed mirror discussing her powers or trying to figure out how they work type of deal. And I really like that aspect of it, trying to figure out what is actually going on with this character and what their powers might be and who they are type of deal.
Yeah. Nate?
I'm really digging like the atmosphere that it's setting itself in. It's not trying to go for like a really sci-fi kind of feel. It's
good point.
Like Anthony, you kind of said it good. It kind of looks like it's on the like thin line of horror, but with more of like a substance to it. Like it's just really cool. Like it's not like a basic, oh, this is about I guess spoilers for a trailer. This is about shapeshifters. Like, oh, let's make it a sci-fi thing. It looks like a genuine story of like a mother and daughter, and like who they are and what they are, and how they're gonna handle their life with someone trying to hunt them down, to experiment on them.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you guys. Like, definitely what stood out to me is just the aesthetic of it, the way it looked, and then just the tone. Like I said before, is really what stood out to me. Once again, I don't normally like a trailer where it doesn't actually show me anything. It just shows me like, oh, this happens. Oh, this happens. Oh, somebody shot a gun. Okay. But this actually really got me intrigued, and it was definitely the tone that they were setting. We've seen it 100 times, I want to say, at this point. We've seen like a kid finding out that they have powers, but just the absolute like believability that they showed in the trailer was like, oh, okay, like it's like almost like a coming of age story set in a pseudo kind of horror setting like you guys were talking about. And so having that on top of this really weird thing that's happening to her, it's like not only is her hormones going crazy, but she can do something that like maybe she didn't even know, because like in the trailer it kind of she was freaking out about it, like she didn't know she could do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a really cool... I have hopes for this. This looks like a really good Netflix drama.
Yeah.
They're really good with those.
Yeah, they're not so good with some others, but with certain genres, they really kind of excel.
Yeah. Reminding me of Ozark, and like the way that Ozark is filmed is not a bad thing. I freaking love Ozark.
Just a lot less blue.
Also, it's listed as a British TV show and British drama, and they are really good with nailing that aspect of storytelling. A lot of British shows, they seem to know how to tell a story within their time conframe that they have, without having to be like, wait, what happened? Where are we? What's going on? That type of thing.
I mean, look at Black Mirror. Like, I know Black Mirror didn't start out as a Netflix show, but
freaking God,
it really does show the difference in between cultures.
Yeah.
Because like
British people are smart. They're like wicked smart.
Well, it's not just that. Like, I still hold back to Gavin from Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter. A long time ago on a Rooster Teeth podcast, he had talked about watching the American Hell's Kitchen and the British Hell's Kitchen back to back, and saying he'll never do it again because you watch and I didn't notice it until he said it, but you watch the American Hell's Kitchen and it's like a camera cut every 2 or 3 seconds, and it's always like jump. Like, it gives you much more anxiety and stress than like. It's the same way with Kitchen Nightmares. You see some episodes of Kitchen Nightmares, the British one, that it's a lot more like long camera pans and less like jump cuts.
Interesting.
But basically, Americans make stupid TV.
Yeah, dang.
Sometimes,
dang Americans going in there doing their god dang sex sales. That's what it is. I don't know where I'm going with that. Any hosers. So yes, I mean it being British is not like what's interesting me, but you make a very good point as far as they're just a little bit smarter as far as their storytelling. Like, I love Stranger Things. Absolutely love it. So, like, this is not saying anything against Stranger Things, but, like, it is very adherent to 80s culture. And if it didn't have the 80s aesthetic, I almost wonder if it would be as good. Like,
probably not, because it pulls that Goonies vibe from it too, with the 80s. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Whereas like so then you have this show, and it reminds me of Ozark, but it's still also its very own movie or show.
No, the thing I watched was the movie. This is the TV show.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. If you guys haven't seen it already, it's a Netflix original. And go check out the trailer for that. I think with this and it's off the top of my head. Emma Stone and Jonah Hill are also doing a mini series.
Oh yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah, it's something something like that.
Yeah, God, I can't remember it. Yeah, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it looks really good. So this on top of that, on top of season 2 of Ozark coming out,
Altered
Carbon.
Carbon.
We're sitting pretty for
Altered Carbon.
Months, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Did you guys like that? I thought it was.
I really enjoyed it.
I liked it. I didn't. I'm 2 episodes from finishing. I never got to finish it.
Me too. I don't know why.
But I'm excited that Anthony Mackie's going to be the showrunner for not showrunner, but the main character next season.
Yes.
Who's Anthony Mackie?
The Falcon from the Avengers.
Oh, interesting. So is it going to be the same character, but now he's in a different body?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh.
Yeah, I would guess so.
Yes.
I would assume so. I mean, spoiler alert! God dang it! He got his meat suit and they killed it. Oh man!
I mean, at this point, is it a spoiler?
Yes, it is a spoiler because I haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
All right, so yeah, you guys let us know. What do you think about The Innocents and the upcoming Netflix series that you're super excited for? Let us know at TX3 Productions on Twitter or at our Discord, which will be in the description down below. Let's get right into our weekly grind. All right, so Weekly Grind is where we get to talk about what we've been playing, watching, binging. Benji! I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sorry, I'm a little hyper. All right, so Anthony, what have you been up to?
Well, for watching, I just actually finished Star Trek Discovery. I got around to watching that. I kind of took a break from it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just it's done. Been hearing some stuff that was better in the later half, so I jumped in and I was like, you know what? This got a lot better, and I really enjoyed it. I'm actually really excited for the second season of that.
Yeah, I mean, there was always when it first came up, there was always comparisons between the Orville and that, and people seemed to really latch on to Orville, but then hated that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just that the Orville was more of the lighter Trek side, whereas Discovery leaned into the darker aspect of that, and a lot of people know of that side. They just see that lighter, happier side, which the Orville did. But where Discovery ended up going with, I was really happy, and just them leaning in more into the lore of the main Trek timeline and where it's going. I'm like, this could be really good if they keep doing with it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Trekkie myself, so I can't comment too much on that.
Well, see, I have CBS Access because my wife and I watch Big Brother, so I could watch it. The main thing that I would want to watch it for would probably be Jason Isaacs.
Yeah.
Because I really, really like him as an actor, and actually I'll talk about him in a second with me. Except for A Cure for Wellness, that movie was dog shit. Absolute dog shit.
I've also been watching the 90s Highlander TV show.
90s Highlander TV show?
There can be only one.
Yeah, that. I watched this a really long time ago. I got the access to watch it, and so I've just been kind of binge watching that as well.
Do you guys remember Zach and Miri Make a Porno, where when they went to the reunion, Zach, he was like, "Oh hey, it's the other Zach," and the other Zach is like, "There could be only." So he was really leaning on that, and Seth Rogen was like, "Ugh."
That was pretty good.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Oh man. See now, I have to ask, because that's like an '80s show, isn't it?
For
Anthony,
did it start?
Yeah, it's I think it started. No, it started in the 90s.
Oh, wow,
or something,
okay.
I believe.
So
That's
not
like
as
early
bad as I
90s.
thought, but I mean, the main question is like, does it hold up
Oh God, no! Like it, you look at it and go
in a good
"This
way or in
is-
a bad way?
If you like Highlander, yes. If you don't, no. It is 90s to its core, from its look, its aesthetic to its acting. It is pure
Right.
90s. But if you like Highlander and want to watch something Highlander, I would highly recommend this show. If not,
if you
stay
like
away from it.
Or if you like Sean Connery.
Yes, if you
Isn't
like
that the
Sean
movie, though?
Connery. Yeah, he's in the first 2 movies, but we only referenced the first one.
Oh, okay.
There are bits of Highlander that Highlander fans just choose to ignore exist. With good reasons.
I forgot Clancy Brown was in there.
What's that? Oh yeah, he's in the first one. He's
Yeah,
the main.
Clancy Brown's good. I like
Clancy
him.
Brown is fantastic.
Really, really like him. Yeah, my favorite character is Mr. Krabs. No, I'm just kidding. He's in a. I loved him in The Punisher, or in Daredevil, season 2. He was really, really, really good in that season.
What the
Yeah.
hell are you talking about now? You've lost me now.
I tend to do that. I like to purposely confuse you because it just makes for a better show.
There you go. Do it.
No, who are you talking about? First you were talking about Mr. Krabs, and then somebody in season 2.
Did you watch Daredevil season 2, Nick?
Yeah.
He was the general for what's Punisher's name? What is the Punisher? Frank Castle.
Oh, okay, got it.
Doing what he does
know-
best is play a military guy.
Right. Talk about typecasting.
Oh, but he's so good at it.
Yeah,
Right.
It really, really is. It's like Stephen Lang. Stephen Lang is the same thing.
Yeah.
Stephen Lang.
Do you remember Avatar?
Avatar. Oh, yeah. Now I
Yeah.
feel stupid.
So
You're absolutely right.
anytime I think of Stephen Lang, thanks to Des and Nate. I don't know if either of you remember Des and Nate on YouTube, but there were these emo kids that made funny videos. They had one video where they played with the photo booth on Mac, and there was one where he made his face all big, and he's like, "Of that one guy from Avatar who's a big asshole." So anytime I think of Stephen Lang, I think of that.
All right, anything else you've been doing?
No, not really. I've kind of just been watching stuff. My gaming has taken a little bit of a backseat break for the moment, other than when I stream. I think I'm just at that point where I'm like taking a break from it.
What do you stream normally?
Right now I'm streaming Pokemon Fire Red, and then Banjo and Crash.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. See, I've been recently playing A Hat in Time, which is very kind of like Banjo-esque. It's very much a love letter to those type of like 3D platformers. And here's the part that's really annoying about it. First off, I love the game. It's absolutely great, and I'm getting really close to 100%. But 100% is not going to get me a platinum trophy. And I was so excited because I saw like the other day, and I think I want to say it was at like 70 or 75%. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get my first legit platinum. Because obviously, like, I got the platinum for The Walking Dead Telltale Season 1. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, that doesn't freaking count. Because that's, like, everybody got that platinum. Anybody who finished the freaking game got that platinum.
Hey, that counts.
So, like,
Those
no, it
platinums
doesn't count.
Yes,
It
they
does
do.
not count. If you told somebody, oh, yeah, I got a platinum in one, they'd be like, oh, okay, so did everybody else. And you're like, poser. You goddamn poser. Anyway, so I'm like, here's going to be one of my first legit ones. And it's for a game that I really, really like. And I'm like, I'm actually like kind of really excited about that. And so, yeah, it's 75. But then I looked at the trophy list and I'm like, son of a bitch. It's like, I'm not even anywhere close. According to the trophy list, I'm only at like 30-something%. So to go from like 70 down to 30, it's like, well, there goes my erection.
Hey, honestly, if you want an easy but satisfying platinum, Second Son
tell me
is
about
a,
it.
is a
Tell me about
really, really fun but easy platinum.
See,
Infamous Second Son. You didn't get it when it was on Plus, so it was free with Plus?
I got First Light when it was on.
No, they had
that particular month I did not have on that 1 month, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Well, see, I would tell you,
I didn't have it.
I would tell you that the Infamous Platinum is a good one, but it's not because of it. Go back to good old map, good old map design or game design.
You had to sway back and
good old game design where one of the trophies is to collect all of like the collectible orbs in the game.
Right,
and
right.
it doesn't give you any way of tracking where they are or how many you've gotten. So
True.
literally me having a picture of it in Photoshop Paint of the map and like Xing them off as I'm collecting them. Oh, that was so terrible. That was so terrible.
Well, what have you been up to, Nate?
It's not a whole lot. One of the main things I'm getting done because of my job and driving a whole lot is I'm catching up on more audiobooks. So I'm just about finished with the second Thrawn book, Thrawn Alliances. And man, this book is so good. This book is so good. So good. So I can't speak to other audiobooks because the Star Wars ones and I think a couple Halo ones are the only ones I've really listened to.
Right.
But what I like about Star Wars is they treat it like a Star Wars production. Like there's music, there's sound effects, there's like great narrators. Like Mark Thompson, he's fantastic. He plays almost every character in the book. Actually, no, in this book, he does play every character in the book. But as far as his vocal range, he can do almost any voice. But what I'm really enjoying is Thrawn was a big... Do you know who Thrawn is?
Yeah, he's the blue guy with the red eyes.
Yeah, blue guy with red eyes.
The blue general guy.
Yeah. So he was real big in the like older books. There was whole like Heir to the Throne or Heir to the Empire. He was put as this villain, like this very like hard general to beat because he was so smart. But what the first book and this book is doing is basically saying, hey, this character really isn't bad. Like he's kind of like between two evils, basically. I can't think of the right terminology for it, but what I like about this one compared to the one before it is this one's a lot more action oriented and it ties into the Clone Wars and it tells a really, really, really cool story. There's also awesome action set pieces. Like I would tell you a couple, but they're really, well, I don't know if you're actually going to ever listen to it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you. So there's,
I think I don't listen to books. That'd be like me reading one.
So basically the reason why this one's called Alliances is because, Thrawn is having to team up with Vader to go on this mission. And what's so cool about it is in the first book, Thrawn says that he had a run-in with Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars. Well, everyone. So what it does is it cuts from the present with Vader and Thrawn to the past with Anakin and Thrawn, and they were on the same planet like several years later. So in one scene in the part where it's Thrawn and Vader, they're in this bar or this like cantina, and they start getting attacked, and the bad guys are shooting these bugs out of this gun, and the bugs, when they hit you, they like form concrete around you. So it basically make you immobile. Well, since Vader had seen this tactic earlier in the book, later on in the book, they storm the same bad guys, and so it talks about how Vader is getting... you're really distracting me right now.
I was wondering how long he was going to let him do that.
That was my goal. I wanted to see how long.
Anyway, it shows like battle with him and the stormtroopers, and then it talks about how Vader's getting encased in this concrete. And the bad guys that they're fighting against are thinking like, oh, we got him beat. And then it shows from the stormtroopers' perspective that... or the narrator's like, but they didn't realize that he had a second set of armor. And so it talks about how Vader like jumps back from the entry point, and what he had done is use the Force and make his armor. He used the Force on a set of his armor to make the bad guys think that was him that they were fighting, but actually he like let that one get encased in concrete, and then came back with his lightsaber and just started wrecking shop.
He was like, surprise, motherfucker!
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it was. That was a super nerdy explanation, but it's a really good book.
Works.
I feel like you have to change your underwear after that.
Yeah, I do. I told my wife about it, and she was just like, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, sweetie, we're not going to kiss for a little while.
But yeah, it's a really, really good book. But besides that, I actually watched a really cool movie last weekend called Shot Caller.
Shot Caller, 20-inch blade.
It's not like, hey, everyone listening, it's not like I haven't heard that 3 times in the past time that we've been recording this. So you've probably seen this. Like, I think DirecTV advertised it for a while. But basically, it's Jamie Lannister. Who it's the actor who plays Jamie Lannister. He gets sent to prison and basically has his life turned upside down. It's a really hardcore.
Got one little fight and my mom got scared. Sorry.
It's a really, really hardcore drama. But it
That he is ruining.
Yeah, that he's ruining. But it has a lot of good people, and it's got John Bernthal in it. It's got you guys know the actor from Burn Notice? Oh God, I can't remember.
The main guy?
The main actor?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in it. Basically,
Nice.
what he has to do is while he's in prison, because he's there for like an extended period of time, to protect himself, he joins with the Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Nation.
Oh, jeez.
And so, but honestly, the movie did not go where I thought it was going to, and it was a really, really pleasant surprise. Not pleasant to watch, but as far as storytelling goes. But
Right.
yeah, the guy from Burn Notice, this is going to sound really racist, and I really, really, really am not meaning it like this, but I'm going to show you a picture, and you're going to see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
His character, the main actor from Burn Notice, his character in this movie looks like a white Malcolm X.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He let himself go.
Yeah. No, but he's like, it's really intimidating to watch, like just the stuff that goes on. It's really, really good movie.
Yeah, I kind of wish he would have been able to keep doing stuff after Burn Notice. Like, I really liked Burn Notice. It was like, for the longest time, it was like the #1 on cable, and then Walking Dead came, which really sucks because then Walking Dead sucks now. So it's like, it's like they didn't get to end on top.
No.
Because Walking Dead came in and like stole their thunder, so to speak. So it kind of fuckers.
He's in that Hulu show. I think. It's
Oh yeah,
Shut Eye.
I've really wanted to watch that specifically because of him, and just haven't gotten around to it.
What show?
Shut Eye, I think it's called.
Okay, I've heard of it.
No, you shut up. Jeez.
But besides that, as far as gaming goes, I actually played Doom for the first time a couple days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, so the remake or like OG?
The original. Dude.
No, 2016. 2016.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And
What'd you think?
Yeah. Well, so
that's it. He just played it.
Yeah. It's like I played it.
And well, see, I had always been wanting to play it since it came out, but like every time I went to buy it, even when it was $20, something was just like, man, I don't know, and so I didn't. But after seeing the Doom Eternal gameplay, I'm like, I have to play this game because Doom
Right.
Eternal looks so good.
Yeah,
So-
looks freaking dope.
Yeah.
So I played the first couple hours of it on my TV, but it's making me remember that. See, for me, I mostly play games on a monitor. I have my PlayStation right here at my desk, and I have 2 monitors, so I'll play on one. And then, like, if I have more cinematic games like God of War or like Spider-Man, I'll play them on my TV.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But something I noticed almost right away was my TV, and maybe it's because it was a Pro, but I saw a lot of screen tearing.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, that's not. But also, like, I also play with Control Freaks, the little attachments that go on the controller. And like, I'm playing this game, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm bad at this game. Because I'm just like, I am not doing good. But I'm gonna try it on my monitor and see if I'm any better at it. I hope so. But it's fun. It's really, really fun. The shooting and aiming, I've got to get used to because it's nothing like Wolfenstein. Like, it feels kind of like Wolfenstein because they're both
Good
Bethesda
point.
like games at heart, but Doom's just feels a lot different for some reason.
Doom is fast, and that's my problem with it. Is like I'm used to like methodically kind of aiming and like waiting, and like Wolfenstein's great for that. Like you can pick your targets as you go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or just like run your way through. But Doom, you're screwed if you stop for a second. They'll pick you right the hell off, and I'm so bad at that.
Yeah, it looks like they're addressing that with Eternal. Based on the gameplay that I've seen, the fact of like him like jumping up and picking that target to grapple to and like shoot with the shotgun. But I really want to play more. Also, like I may have not been in the mood for it when I started playing it, but that really caught me off guard with how fast it was. Because I remember sometimes if it's during a cinematic moment, I'll like creep up on the thumbstick to like just go slowly and I'll walk just fine. But I did that and it's like it didn't move, and I moved it a little bit more and he just jolted forward, and I was like, well, okay. Like I didn't want you to do that, but
yes.
And I think one of the main reasons they did that, and I mean, me personally, I think they did such a good job with it because like I remember playing the original Doom, and the way you move around in the new Doom is very familiar to that, but obviously they just did such a good job of translating the way you felt back then into like a reality. Like the way you jump, the way you shoot and everything, it just feels, if you played it back then, you were old enough for that. If you played it back then and then you played this, it was familiar enough where you can just go and have some fun, but there was still just so much that was new about it, like double jumping and the melee system, and obviously just how gorgeous it was and the level design and everything, that it felt completely new. It didn't just feel like, okay, well, let's just give them like a upscale version of something. It really felt like just this new experience, but it felt also like home. Like if that makes sense. It just felt so familiar in a good way. Like if they could ever like if these people who made Doom could also get the rights to Duke Nukem, and we could get like a proper like gorgeous looking Duke Nukem like this, I would just, oh god, I would love that so much.
So something that I wasn't expecting, that I was a little surprised by, was I know the story of Doom, like of 2016, where it's like, you know, demons and Mars.
Yeah.
But I kind of, for some reason, was expecting, like, right when you start the game, for it to kind of have a slight Dead Space feel, in the sense of, like, I'm waking up, I don't know what's going on, like, what's going on? Whereas it's like, oh, nope, hey, we're humans, we fucked up, we just summoned demons on Mars, whoops. Like, it's just like, okay, I'm down for this is cool.
I really like that aspect of, like, him just waking up, looking around, going, all right, cool. And then the guy in the elevator tries to give him the story, and he's like, nah, I ain't having any of this. He's like, screw it.
Oh, God, yeah. That was such a meta moment, if you think about it, because it's like, first-person shooters in particular this day, ever since like Half-Life 2, everybody feels like they have to have like this really in-depth world, this really in-depth story. It needs to be, you know, it needs to be gut-wrenching. It needs to be like powerful and all this. And that was just such a meta moment, because they're like, you know, it was also kind of like they were trolling us for just a second, because they're like, oh, we're gonna have this complicated story, and he's like, nah, that.
Yeah,
so it was
even if you go back to like the Doom before this, I think it was either it was Doom 3, right? The technical reboot that wasn't a reboot,
right?
That was pretty story heavy as well. So they were just like, nah, we ain't having any of this.
Yeah, it's like, let's just have fun. Like, I love how fast you get into the actual freaking game.
Yep.
And not only that, but it doesn't tell me how to reload. It doesn't tell me how to jump. It doesn't tell me how to aim and fire. It's like, it respects my knowledge as a gamer of like freaking 15 years, you know? Like, it respects me, and it's like no game out there respects you, you know? Like I talked about it last episode, and how Blood Dragon was like one of the first ones that did like a parody of the tutorial, and it actually made it interesting. Whereas this, it was just like, screw it, we don't need a tutorial, we know that you know that I know that you know, so let's just get on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that at the very moment like it was happening with Doom, but I was like, oh, okay, no, I get this. Like within like a matter of a minute, like I was like, I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, the only one I didn't was the pistol. I'm like, why is it every time I aim down sight, I shoot so slow? And then I realized that it was because it was a mod. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's charging up. Jesus. Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I think all of us had a chance to look at was Disenchanted on Netflix.
Yes.
And so this is from the makers, or I guess maybe one of the makers from Simpsons, Matt Groening?
And
Groening.
Futurama.
Groening, yeah.
Greeny? Okay. Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, I kind of like it, but what's your impressions on it, Anthony?
I like it, but I don't know how much I like it. It was very, like, it was good, but not like...
You took the words right out of my mouth. Go ahead.
I'm really not sure how I feel about it. Like, I've watched 8 of the 10 episodes. I'll probably finish the last 2 just to round it off. But I'm just like,
Right.
It's entertaining, but I'm like, is it that good compared to everything else and even every other adult animation that they're naming it out there?
Yeah, right.
Like, there's a lot better shows out there than this. But, like, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, so my question for both of you, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here because I haven't seen it as much as either of you. Can we, or is it fair to compare this to Futurama or Simpsons with the lineage that they have?
Yes, absolutely. We can compare this to, SpongeBob SquarePants. When you put yourself out on a medium and you want to call yourself a comedy, quote unquote, you are compared to literally anything that's ever been funny ever.
Well, I say it in the sense of like with Futurama, because I've seen way more Futurama than Simpsons. Was everyone's reaction to the first season of Futurama? Was everyone's reactions like great? Was it everyone was like, "This is fantastic"?
Whenever Fox aired it, I think so.
Okay. Because I mean, I loved it when I first started it. Like from the beginning, I saw
remember the critics being really, really, really up there about it as far as like Futurama. It was to the point where it was like, wait, why did it get canceled? And I think it was just one of those Fox enigmas where it's like people just stopped watching. It wasn't necessarily that it was a bad show. It's just people stopped watching because other things were on.
Well, that and they put it on at 7 or against football or.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I am right there with you, Anthony, as far as like I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know. I don't hate it. Let's put it. That's the only thing I can definitively say about it is that I don't hate it. I don't despise it. I don't not want to watch it. If that makes sense. I don't know if I accidentally double negative there, but it's not that I don't want to watch it. It's just that it's so hard, and it's like this is gonna make me seem like like a prude or something like that. But it's like when I just got done watching Rick and Morty because they put out season 3 for Hulu, and it seems like so freaking long that you had to wait for that. I pirated it when it first came out, and so I watched every single episode.
Shh, don't tell the internet that.
Don't tell the internet that.
But then I watched it again when it came out on Hulu, and so watching that and then watching this, it's like both shows have their dumb humor where something just happens and it's like, that's funny. But just the style of comedy is just so different. Like the number one thing that stuck out to me is how circumstantial all the comedy is. Like almost everything has to do with something that happens rather than someone saying something funny, like the writing itself being funny. Instead, it's like there's this one part, the girl takes off her top and then starts walking around, and so the king's like, hey, nobody look at her. And so she walks out of the room, some guy walks in, he's like, oh, I was looking at her. And it's like, well, that's not really funny. It's more the circumstance that's funny rather than what he said. And then there's this other part, this little gnome, and he's doing all these fancy moves just to get stomped by this giant foot. And it's just like so on and so on and so on. There's so many of those particular things. It's not what someone's saying. It's not this funny quip or something. It's what happens. There are a couple of instances, like I think one of my favorite instances of somebody actually saying something funny is they steal this carriage and then they crash it into this lake, and so there happened to be somebody in it, and they're like, I'm drowning, and then Elfo's like, I'm Elfo. And it was a genuinely funny thing that somebody actually said rather than something that just happened. And I'm like, there are a couple of instances of that, but just the entire thing is just very circumstantial. If something happens, you can almost kind of guess what's going to happen next, and I don't like that feeling.
I chalk it up to a less funny, good version of American Dad, because I love American Dad, but it has that same type of like, the story is kind of the basis for it, and then whatever happens in that is the jokes. But they're written really well in that show, as opposed to this show where it's very, I'm going to say mediocre in terms of like, you can get, like you said, you can guess what they're going to say or what's going to arise in the next situation.
Exactly.
Like the prime example of this is the Hansel and Gretel thing. They go to the house and instantly he licks the window and you see Hansel and Gretel and you're like, oh, they're the villains. Like, just you immediately you see them and there wasn't like, there's no vague hint towards it like most things would. It was just like, boom,
So do you guys feel like Disenchanted is relying on old Simpsons and Futurama tropes just wrapped up in a new shell?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's just the comedy itself is just so procedural. It's just so formulaic as far as like, I mean, I hate to keep saying, but yeah, I really feel like watching it, it's great. And, there's some interesting characters, but watching it, it's just being able to know that as soon as somebody says something, it's like, well, I know what's going to happen next. Like, that feeling is just not great. Another thing that I thought was a little confused, and I 100% blame the marketing, but one thing that I wasn't expecting is I wasn't expecting a like serialized show where it's kind of like Family Guy and Simpsons, where each episode it's a different storyline. The way the marketing is, at least this is how I got it. The marketing for this show made it seem like there was going to be a beginning, middle, and end for the entire season. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, there is this like underlying storyline that involves like the demon or whatever, but like after the first 2 episodes that deals with her, not wanting to get married, all of a sudden it's just these random stories that I feel like could have happened at any point. And like you could watch them out of order and it doesn't matter. Like there's no character development. There's no, what she learned in the first 2 episodes doesn't matter because everything's serialized now. And I was not expecting that.
No, they're very much little mini arcs within like a bigger arc, but not well done out.
No, not at all. I mean, she goes out on this like rampage and does all this stuff and then has to go to a nunnery, and that's all in one episode. But then like the next episode, she throws a big rager. So it's like she didn't learn anything from going out on a binge and drinking and stealing a carriage and then having to go to a nunnery. Like she didn't learn anything because now she's just right back to doing stuff. And it's like, I guess I expect more out of my characters nowadays. Like even like Family Guy for that instance, it's gotten to the point where it's like, like Peter's gonna do this, Stewie's gonna do this, and it's so formulaic that it's boring.
I don't even watch it anymore.
Yeah, which is why something like even Futurama is a good example. Like there is like character development. There is, I mean, granted over a longer period of time because, Fry always likes Leela or whatever, but there's still like character developments, and it does kind of seem like there's an overarching character development. And Rick and Morty is, once again, I hate to compare it because they're two completely different shows, but that's just what I have to compare it off of because I literally watched it right before watching this. Well, not right before, but you know what I mean. Like the last cartoon funny show I watched was Rick and Morty. So going from that to this, it was just like, I like my characters to like be characters, not caricatures.
Yeah, well, even Archer, I'll throw another example in there.
There you go.
Is exactly the same way. Over the course of the season, he does get better. He has his moments where he falls back into being his Archer character, but he still learns things, and I think they're 9 seasons in now. They are kind of completely different characters than when they first started.
Definitely. Good point. And I mean, Archer is actually a really good example because it is very serialized in the sense that each one is like, okay, here's this secret mission. Then on the next episode, it's all about a completely different mission and then a different mission, And so it's very serialized in that sense where it's just like, each one doesn't necessarily happen in a row, but then it's all the character interactions. It's all the background story that they make sure links together, like the inside jokes and everything. It makes you feel like you are watching it in order, even if it is one mission.
Very much so.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think me and you are just, right on the same page where it's like, it's not bad. It's not horrible. It's not grotesque. It's not something that's like, I want to sign a petition to make sure that it never gets aired again. It's nothing like that. It's just, it's so mediocre.
Well,
mediocre. Sorry, I always think about that.
So what did you think about season 3 of Rick and Morty?
Absolutely awesome. I loved it. I don't think there was literally one episode I didn't like, and then other than that, it was absolutely great.
So, my while I was gone for training, for my job a couple weeks ago, for a while, my wife and we would put on like Adventure Time to have like some cartoon nighttime TV for us to go to sleep to.
Okay.
And while I was gone, she started Rick and Morty, and I was like, "Did you really?" And so like I've been watching it with her, and I've seen it all before, but I really enjoy the fact that she's getting a lot of enjoyment out of it that I didn't think she would.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh my God, you have to see this episode. Like she loved Rick Potion number 9 in the first season.
Yes.
And so like I can't wait till we get to Pickle Rick, but
dude, I love Pickle Rick.
And see, like, if we're gonna go on a Rick and Morty rant, rewatching season 1 and 2 after first watching all of the third season, because like I said, I pirated them.
That's how I watched it. I mean,
that's how like I think a majority of people watch.
That's how I watch Star Trek and Highlander as well.
So anyways, after rewatching that after season 3, the little things here and there that you pick up on, like, oh my God, they referenced that in season 3. Oh my God, that carried over from season 3. It's just like the amount of stuff that they do, the writers do, is just so freaking awesome.
Yeah, just the fact of, like, I remember it catching me off guard in season 3. I think it was, I don't remember what episode it was, but when they come to a different timeline, and it's the time, or they come to a different universe, and it's the one that was before.
The Cronenbergs?
Oh, the main universe that they're supposed to live in.
They came back to the main universe.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, wait a minute, did that just tie back?
Yeah.
And then I realized that the way they formulated the show is it's all together, and it made me enjoy the show that much more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And see, like, even down to the fact that the last episode, which was the one I didn't like, the last episode...
The Rick and Morty date?
Yep. The fact that the entire thing hinges off of Rick wanting Morty to get a selfie. And if you go back to, I can't remember the title of it, but it's the one where it was like American Idol with the big giant heads.
Mm-hmm.
Show me what you've got.
Exactly. That one, he wanted a selfie, and the president absolutely fucking snubbed him. And so then they carried that over, and here we go. We see the president again, and the entire thing about it is basically about them blowing him off, and then Rick still wanting him to get a selfie. And it's like, but that also shows you just how much Rick has grown, because it's like, that's the kind of stuff that he wanted to give a shit about before. It's like, oh, Morty wants a selfie. Who the hell cares?
It's like, it's not my favorite episode of the season, but as far as like technical aspect, it is. But like in season 3, the Rick Lantis mix-up, the one where it's the
I
world
love
of
that
Mortys.
one.
It's just, you sit there and think about it, and it's like Justin Roiland is the only person who spoke this entire episode.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Jesus. And then at the very, very end, it's like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Like what? I didn't see that coming. But
Yeah.
I am more naive than most people sometimes.
See, that one was my very favorite episode of the entire season, and it was because the hero's journey that Dan Harmon, he bases all of his writing basically off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I liked about it is that there were like four different storylines, and each one had its own story arc. And even though they were kind of loosely linked together, it was pretty much 4 completely separate storylines that they kind of just mushed together. But each one was so well written that each one had its own hero's journey. And it was like, wow. It's like, it was pretty much like him or them. I mean, obviously there's a team. It was pretty much them like flexing their muscles as far as like, hey, we can write really good stories. Here's 4 of them. And anthologically. Yeah, it was the Black Mirror episode of Rick and Morty, and I loved it.
I rewatched the Mr. Meeseeks episode with her, and I'm just because I love the meme they've turned it into, like the battle royale.
Yes.
When they're like, well, he wrote me into this. Oh man, that show's just so like, it's just another level of animated comedy. And
Yeah.
I bet people are like, oh, stop talking about Rick and Morty, we get it. But it's like, yeah, we're not sitting here sucking Rick and Morty's dick.
Yeah,
right
as long
now.
as you're
We're
not
just,
a fanboy about it, like a lot
as
of
long as
their
you don't wait
audience
4
is.
hours for Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, like goddamn people.
Which,
like,
by the way, was
relax.
okay. It was okay. I didn't stand in line for 4 hours. I got it in like 30 minutes. But it was just okay.
I love in the Pickle Rick episode, if you pay attention, you can see the string, or you can see the hypodermic needle attached to the string, attached to the timer. You can see that in the establishing shot. So it wasn't like it just appeared because the story called for it. They thought ahead and they did that. There was another thing that they talked about, like one of the, like the crack on the driveway was when they teleported the entire house to the different dimension.
Yeah.
And it's like them paying attention to those little details, like most, like a Family Guy or a Simpsons. If they would have, the whole joke was, hey, what's this needle doing with a timer and scissors? They would have just thrown that in afterwards. But the fact that they had the foresight that, no, we're going to put it in the shot as the establishing shot, it's just shows you just how freaking, like, how much passion they have for their storytelling.
Well, see, I've always loved stuff like that when it comes to people making shows and movies and things like that, when it comes to the storyboarding.
Right.
Or however it is. Another example I have is Breaking Bad. So have either of you seen the last season of Breaking Bad?
Yep.
No, you haven't?
I did not get on the Breaking Bad train.
Oh,
I tried.
man.
I tried. I couldn't do it.
Come on, ride the train and ride
Come
it.
on
Woo, woo.
So
You're welcome.
So there's a scene in the last season where Walt goes to meet up with this character named Lydia, who you meet in season 5, I think. And I didn't realize this until someone on the internet pointed it out.
Only in the web.
But they were like, he meets her at this cafe, and he's like, all right. He's like, I have 2 minutes. And then he tells her what he has to tell her, and then he leaves. And so someone on the internet timed it, and at exactly 2 minutes he gets up and leaves. But it's just the fact of like
I love
how,
things like that.
Yeah, that's what I love whenever someone has the insight to actually pay attention to that, like you were talking about with Rick and Morty.
Right. And I mean, if anything, they probably wrote it that way, and then they might have even done separate takes to make sure that he got it out. It's like, okay, at this, once you get this sentence done, pause for like 3 Mississippi or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's so good.
So good. So
Futurama
really good.
does that really well in its first season. You can see the shadow of Nibbler.
I know. Oh my god, very first episode.
And someone
of the
pointed that
entire
out,
thing.
so I went back and looked, and I'm like, holy crap, you can.
Yeah, I was so surprised at myself. I'm like, no, you can't. You're bullshitting me. And yeah, go back, and sure enough, there's his shadow. And it's like, wow, they had the force. And see, these are the same people who have the foresight to have a story element like that. But then they get Disenchanted, and it's just like, here's this just procedural, formulaic thing. And it's just, it's so... I want to like it. I really do. I like the characters, and I like the setting, so to speak, even though some of the things can be a little tropey. Mm-hmm. But I like it, and it's just like, but there's so much about it that is just like, kind of just mundane, that it's like, do I like it? I don't know.
I want to see if they get a second season and where they go with that.
Because, I do, like, yes.
They brought back, like, you recognize the names in the intro, and it is like a lot of his voice actors and a lot of his writers and producers, and they're all in it, and you recognize those names, and you're like, be better. Like, you guys have done this for so long. Be better. You've got another shot.
They should, I don't know if they have, and maybe somebody on the internet can find it or whatever, but they should totally do an Easter egg where, like I don't know, they reference, like, Fry or something, because in
I've been looking.
The first... You have?
I've been looking.
Because in the first episode, like, the aliens come and destroy everything, then the castle goes up, and then it gets destroyed. So if they could reference it somehow, that'd be so freaking awesome.
Yeah, I've been looking for little Easter eggs and nods while trying to watch the show at the same time, but I haven't found any, but I'm sure I've missed a ton.
Right.
Just please don't have a cameo or a Easter egg of Seymour, please. I don't want my heart ripped out any more than it was every time I watch that episode.
Oh, man. Yeah, Futurama should have never been canceled.
Nope.
Speaking of things that should have never been canceled.
Wham.
We're going to go on to my favorite ever series that got canceled. All right, so I'm just going to say it. Should we exclude Firefly because it's one of the most obvious choices?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say so.
Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody out there, Firefly is our number one choice. I mean, come on. It's one of the best shows out there. The fact that
we did get Serenity out of it, and I really enjoyed Serenity.
I really wish that Fox wouldn't have had their head so far up their ass, because now there's been many instances, like Medium is a good example. It started on NBC, ended on ABC, and then there's other things like Arrested Development got canceled on Fox but re-upped on Netflix.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Nine-Nine, that's a good example.
I'm so glad that show got saved.
Oh, The Killing, which ended on a huge cliffhanger on AMC, also got picked up on Netflix. So it's like, I feel like if maybe just a few more years would have went by, instead of a movie, maybe we could have gotten a good series out of it on Netflix. But not only that, why couldn't it have like Sci-Fi? Why couldn't they have picked it up? Why couldn't they pick it up? It was such a good show. Everybody loved it. And it was just because of Fox being Fox that it ended up getting canceled. It's so stupid. So
for me, I agree with you, but at the same time, I like how, because that happened, we have gone years and years of Nathan Fillion just being so meta about it, and however many of his performances. Like there's that one episode of Castle where he's dressed in his Firefly costume or his Firefly outfit, and they're like, "Wait, who are you? Some kind of space cowboy?" or something like that. Like he's just.
And there's one where they go to a sci-fi convention in Castle, and he names off all the ones, and he's like, "Oh, that one that Joss Whedon did."
Yeah. So at least we got that.
Yeah, I guess. But it would just be so much better if we got more. All right, so Anthony, what's your runner-up? What is your runner-up for the TV series that got canceled?
Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. You guys know this show?
I know Two Girls, One Cup.
No, it is not that.
I know Two and a Half Men.
It was a show in the 90s that I watched after it aired.
Okay, hold on. Is somebody messing with their mic?
It's not me.
Is that me?
I think it's you.
Hold on. Huh. Okay, go on.
Good.
I'm sorry.
It was a show that I watched later that found out there was only so many, and I wish it would have been longer. But it's Two Guys, a Girl, and Pizza Place, and it's Ryan Reynolds early on in his career.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it's a sitcom, and it does have like an overall arching thing, but it's a really funny show about two guys and a girl who they start off working in this pizza place, but just kind of like them going through life.
Yeah, is it like The Waiting prequel?
Kinda.
Oh, that movie's so bad. The Still Waiting.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Oh, Still Waiting. Yeah, God, that was just like a cash in if you've ever had it.
Yep. But it's a really funny show. It's got Nathan Fillion in it. Yeah.
Now I have to watch it.
Yeah. And it's just a funny show, and it's great. And I've watched it more times than anyone should. A show that they like, but it's only 3 seasons long, and then it got canceled. But I wish it was longer.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just a really spectacular.
Well, now I want to check it out because
I would highly recommend it. It's really funny.
Nice. All right, and Nate, you need to make up your mind. You can't always have ties, okay? You need to stop being such an indecisive little alpha or beta male and just make a goddamn decision.
I do what I want when I want.
It's my body. I do what I want.
So my runner-ups, it's kind of a toss-up. It's a toss-up between one of these. One of them is Wayward Pines.
Shot in Idaho.
Was it really?
Yeah.
So the thing with Wayward Pines is the first season was phenomenal. I actually would have been fine with it just being like a mini series and having that one season. The second season, I haven't finished it because it's like it.
Well, you're the problem then. You're the reason it got canceled. Great
job,
job,
man. Way to go.
Feel good about yourself. You feel like a big man now.
No, it's not me.
I'm a big kid now.
No, it's not me. So they could have went several different ways with how they ended that first season, and they completely just didn't do any of those and did something totally different. And it just wasn't.
Oh, they Last Jedi'd it.
We're not having this discussion.
I like The Last Jedi.
Thank you.
Don't even go there. I cannot be on a show with two Jedis. Less Jedi, just Jedis. I don't know.
Jedis. That's proper pronunciation. Okay. So, but it was an interesting idea, and I liked the world that they built. Kind of the same way with Revolution. Revolution, if you hadn't heard of it, was a show. I think it got 2 seasons as well. It maybe had.
I do believe so. Yeah.
Is that the show with they're either the Legion or the assassins that work for Lincoln or Washington or something in that line?
That's not Into the Badlands, is it?
I don't know, though. I thought that was that show, but I guess I'm wrong.
No, so Revolution is about someone sets off an EMP in the U.S. and fries all electronics and resorts everyone back to simpler times.
Jericho?
So
shut up.
But what they did with it was they had, like, from the first episode, this like kind of mystery of, wait, who did it? Like, was it someone? Do we know someone that's a main character's like family member? Is he responsible? And so, like I same with Wayward Pines. I haven't finished the second season of it.
Right.
So I probably am part of the problem.
Yes,
but
you
I don't
really
know if
are.
I don't
I mean-
know if that answered. I don't know if that question ever got answered. But same as Wayward Pines, but better. It set this really cool world up, and it also had Gus Fring from Breaking Bad in it. He was I think he was the antagonist. Yeah, they set up this cool like civilization thing where it's like these different factions going against each other.
Right.
And so it's
I
really
really
cool.
liked it, and I both liked and hated the fact that it reminded me of Last of Us, because it's like it was the EMP went off, and then it was like 15. I don't know if they ever established how many years it was.
I thought
but
it was like 15, 20 years maybe.
Yeah, it was like 15, 20 years into the future, and so that kind of setting I feel like is just really cool because it gives us this Last of Us feel, or the Fallout, where this is civilization after the apocalypse rather than like during it, which would be like The Walking Dead or something like that. So yeah, that's definitely a real good pick. My runner-up, funnily enough, is Jericho. Thanks for shooting the lead.
You're welcome.
Jericho was really good, and actually there is a cool little story behind it, in the fact that it got a second season, but it was only because all the fans, well, not all of them, I didn't do it, but most of a good chunk of some of them did, they sent peanuts to the producers of the show.
They sent penises or peanuts?
Peanuts! Get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh God.
They sent peanuts,
Oh, the main character
the
of
things
Jericho,
you put in your mouth and that are salty. Wait, sorry, that doesn't help.
What?
the main character of Jericho is in Riverdale. That's cool.
Yes.
But yeah, I really like.
Urge, whatever the hell his name is.
Let me talk.
No.
It was a really good show, and it was kind of the same thing of Revolution in a way, but it focused more on like a town, Jericho, and what happened after this big, explosion went off or whatever, and this big attack or terrorist attack or whatever. And yeah, it was really good characters. And the only reason it came back for a second season, and the second season itself was like only like, oh God, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes. So like they pulled the Gilmore Girls basically. But yeah, they sent peanuts to the producers, and the peanuts goes along with like a story that happened in the show basically. So they were showing their love for the show by picking this really, really obscure story or whatever. But I mean, it did have a pretty good bearing on what happened in the show, but still, it was really cool, and it was just a really good show, and I wish it wouldn't have been canceled. So
Yeah,
Anthony.
I like Jericho.
yes, thank you.
Apparently,
Thank you for agreeing with me.
Another person that was in Jericho was Candace Bailey, who, if you guys remember Attack of the Show, she was one of the, I think she was the main host before it got canceled.
Oh man, dude has fallen so far. Oh, I'm just thinking of what happened to dude from Attack of the Show.
Oh God, I still follow him on YouTube. What's his name? What is his name?
Anthony Sudeikis?
No.
No, it's
Emperor.
yeah, he did the Attack, which I got into, and then he did something really dumb, and now that doesn't exist anymore.
God, that makes me sad now.
It does.
Keep going. I miss Attack of the Show.
All right, so Anthony, what is your favorite series that got canceled?
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Is that the Disney XD one?
This was it the Disney XD one? I'm trying to remember. I know there's been so many.
Right, and I always go back to that like Big Bang Theory where like Sheldon does like, which one? Spectacular Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, this
like
this was,
he just goes.
Yeah, this was the 2008 Disney XD show.
Oh, okay.
But
That one had Deadpool in it eventually, didn't it?
no, that was the Ultimate Spider-Man.
God.
Which is just
See what I mean?
It's
Like,
awful.
Get your straight, XD.
Yeah, it's really
What's XD stand for? Extra.
So the art style of this reminds me of, you guys remember the Batman animated show, the one that
The
had
Brave and the Bold?
the dreadlock Joker?
Yeah, the Batman.
Oh God.
Yeah. That's kind of what that art style kind of reminds me of. Like,
Yeah.
compared to other Spider-Man shows,
Yeah,
it
right.
looks a lot like that.
Yeah, it honestly is. If you take nostalgia away from the '90s Spider-Man, it is the best Spider-Man that they have done, and that includes the current one that's currently airing. It is just
Interesting.
It's really good. They nail the characters and the dynamic of the characters and the overall arc of everything they're going for just spectacularly.
Nah. See, I don't know why they do that. Especially like another good example is like they had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they even made sure to get back the guy who voiced Raph, and he voices Donnie in the new one. It's CG. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people really reacted very good to it. And then all of a sudden now they have another one that's a cartoon. It's like, why? If it was doing so good, why get rid of it? All right, Nate, what was your number one pick?
My number one pick was the Mick.
Oh, thanks. That's so flattering.
The Mick, you jackass.
Oh, dang it.
That was that show that just aired on Fox, right?
FX.
Yeah,
FX.
No, Fox. It was Fox.
Main Fox.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was Fox. Yeah, because it always posted to Hulu very fast. And
Oh, that's
Fox
right. You're
owns
right. Okay.
most of Hulu,
I'm
most, not all Hulu.
I'm getting it mixed up with isn't Always Sunny on FX?
Yes.
Oh, see, that's why I got confused. I thought it was on the same channel as Always Sunny. So, my fault.
So it's one of those things that if you like Always Sunny, there's a chance that you might like the Mick, or for the same reason you would hate the Mick, because it has the same actress in both. But I love the humor in it. The humor is like it's not dirty, but like it's very like.
You like it dirty, don't you, Nick?
It's very like matter of fact. It's like, so the character, her rich sister and her husband get arrested for fraud, and so she has to come take care of their kids, and she's just kind of a show person.
Yeah.
And so it's her having to take care of these really rich snobby kids, and the humor is really funny. The kid in it, the like little child, is a pyromaniac who's always like, he's so sweet and innocent, but he's a monster because he just it's so funny to watch. But it got canceled after its second season, which is a shame. But
did you finish that fucking season?
I did finish that season. Yes.
That's like such a good question to ask you.
I will say this though. I'm glad that it was this over 911, because their new show 911 I've really, really enjoyed.
Oh yeah.
That
Does
has
it have the
girl
same
from,
actress or something?
No.
Okay.
Does it? Wait. Who are you talking about?
What?
He asked if it was the same actress.
No,
Who
I'm
did?
thinking of the actress from Nashville is in that, right?
Possibly. It's basically an over dramatized like cop show that also has like fire and EMS, and it's very like Sunday night. Ooh, 911's on kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's good event TV.
Is it like a good, like, is it an answer to like Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
On the polar opposite scale, yes.
Yeah. That's
'Cause
well, I'm
it's-
just saying because like, yeah, it seems weird to have Brooklyn Nine-Nine and then 911 come out around the same time. Well, it's just like, oh my God, how many freaking like doctor procedural shows are there? Like,
Oh
I
my
got
God,
really
yes.
into what was it called? I got really into The Good Doctor
I
with
hear
the
good things
autistic
about
guy.
that.
It's good, but then right around the same time they also had like The Resident. Right around the same time they had another one which I forget the name of, and I'm like, geez, how many times can somebody get sick and they make it interesting?
I mean, you can only have House once,
Yeah.
Right.
which I'll
Exactly.
argue House is probably my favorite, if not, I think the best. Like,
And see, I
medical
think that's
drama.
the main reason The Good Doctor is good, is because it's the makers of House that made this one. So it kind of has the same feel, but now instead of, Hugh Laurie being a jackass, it's this autistic kid, and so he's struggling to be normal, also struggling to be taken serious, and This is way off topic. Let's get back into it. But good show, good doctor. I don't know if it's canceled. If it's canceled, though, maybe it'll make it on this list someday.
No, I think
Is that
it's
the
okay.
kid from Bates Motel?
What?
Is that the guy from Bates Motel? Who's
Yes,
in The
yes,
Good
it
Doctor?
is. Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, check it out. Anyways, so that was your number one mix. So now back to me. My favorite series that was canceled is Terra Nova. That's the dinosaur one where they go. It was actually a really interesting premise, and I don't know if it was just because I didn't watch the right trailer to it, or maybe I just didn't pick up on it. But I had no idea that the premise was they went back in time. I thought maybe they just like went to I don't know what since it was Terra Nova, I thought it was like a different planet for some
I really
reason.
don't know either, because I remember the first trailer that was specifically saying, hey, the point of the show is we're going back in time to colonize the
Shut up.
prehistoric era.
I think if I'm remembering this correctly, it's a different Earth, but back in time, so they wouldn't screw up their timeline.
No, I think it was just that it was so far back in time. It was so ridiculously far back in time that they couldn't f*** it up. I think that was their, reasoning behind it. Even though there's an entire like book about how a guy goes back in time, steps on a mosquito, and that completely changes everything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also starring Stephen Lang.
Yes, Stephen Lang. So yeah, it's funny you brought him up. But yeah, I really like it. It was really good. This came out right around the same time as The Walking Dead. And right around the same time that I started freaking hating Walking Dead. And so like I was kind of looking for another thing, and I'm like, oh, zombies. Oh, dinosaurs. Okay. And yeah, this show getting canceled was really sucky. And the other part of it that sucks the most is that Netflix was, ready to like sign the paperwork and have it so that it would continue on Netflix. And I don't know, for one reason or another, probably because it's Fox and they're a bunch of fuckers. But the deal didn't go through, which, I mean, like, that show continued on Netflix. Maybe they could have done a little bit more, blood. Maybe Stephen Lang could have said like fucking shit. But that same show, Netflixified, I think could have been really good. I mean, the budget that a lot of the Netflix shows have fit the budget that it had on there. So, yeah, it's just a huge shame that it just got canceled.
Yeah, and that would have around the time that got canceled, that could have been huge for Netflix, because
Definitely.
that was when Netflix was really eager to continue things and
right.
like to
I think
make
Orange
things.
is the New Black was like their big like headliner, and it was the first time that a series came out that did like gangbusters on Netflix.
Yeah.
So
I have a weird history with this show. I saw it. They did a premiere at Comic-Con for the first episode.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I was there and I watched it. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'd like to see it not with 10,000 people in a room.
Right.
And so I watched it, and I think I watched like the first 4, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'm not sure where they could go with this, and then it got canceled, so I didn't bother watching the rest of it. But it was an interesting show.
See, this is what I like when I go and look at shows that I haven't either seen in a long time or I know little about. The main actor for Terra Nova was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a couple seasons.
Yep.
Yeah, that's real. I really like him as an actor. When you go to IMDb, Terra Nova, it says 2011 to 2011. So
I've watched one.
Just twist the
episode of
goddamn
Agents of
knife,
S.H.I.E.L.D.
IMDb.
So to answer Nick's question, written by Anonymous on IMDb, centers on the Shannons, an ordinary family from 2149, when the planet is dying, who are transported back 85 million years to prehistoric Earth, where they join Terra Nova, a colony of humans with a second chance to build a civilization.
Thank you. What was my question?
That we were talking about.
Did I
wait,
fucking ask you?
well, I answered either way.
I'm just kidding. I love you.
This segment was brought to you by Fox.
And now this segment is canceled.
Right. Speaking of Fox in the 90s, it's time for another edition of Nick and Nate's 90s Nostalgia.
It's morphin' time!
Dun, 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 dun.
Might I add, that was a really good segue. I really appreciate that segue.
God, I can't remember. It was like I was on One Giant Leap for Geeks. It's another podcast. I cheated on you. I'm sorry. Anyways, I guest starred on his because he guest starred on mine. You know, it's potato for this podcast.
He showed you yours and you showed him.
Hell yeah, I did.
Yeah,
but we were talking about like Godzilla, and we were talking about the new one and how like maybe like there be some way of controlling like Godzilla. I was like, what the hell are they gonna do? It was good.
Oh man! Even though you don't have a mouth, you have a mouth slit. How does that work?
So today's, if you haven't figured it out already, today's topic of Nick and Nate's 90s nostalgia. Say that 10 times fast, Anthony.
Nick and 90s nostalgia, Nick and 90s nostalgia,
Nick and Nate's.
Hey, I'm skipping
Nick and Nate's
it. I'm skipping stuff.
Nostalgia, Nick and Nate's 90s nostalgia.
I'm skipping some stuff.
So today's topic is Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Anthony, were you alive? I don't know how old you are.
Yes, I was very much alive.
Did you watch the OG or like?
I did. I watched it.
Good.
I'm a terrible fan because I still technically watch a good chunk of it.
Interesting. I'm glad you're here because I really want to talk about this.
Okay.
See, now the cool thing is like the proud father moment that I have is my daughter. She's only 3, so she has like absolutely no reason to like Power Rangers, but for some reason I'm thinking it's because of the interesting creatures and how they get in costumes and stuff like that, but she absolutely loves the Power Rangers, so much so that we had a Wizard Con here in Boise, Idaho, and we were eating at, I don't remember the fish place. There's a fish place. It's right on the Grove, right in the center on the Grove, and right across from us was the convention center. So me and Ashley sit down. We're getting ready to order. I look over, and there's fucking Tommy. I'm like, no. I'm like, I do that thing where like I keep looking, but I'm trying to make it look like I'm not looking, and I'm like, is that Tommy? No, I'm like, salmon. Okay, that's fucking Tommy, isn't it? And I'm like, I kind of lean over to my wife, and I'm like, Tommy is sitting right behind you. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like,
Who's Tommy?
The guy who plays Tommy, he's sitting behind you. And she starts to look, and I do that thing where I'm like, don't look!
So what
Don't look at him.
What you should have done is you should have
not need his presence. Anyway,
you should have looked at the menu and like from the corner of your mouth go. see what he did.
No, so anyways, going on. So she kind of looks and she's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not fucking sure." So I took a picture and I'm like, smile, but I'm like, she's in the very left of the picture so that I could get a picture of him. And I posted it on Facebook, and it's really awesome. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Now, the best part of that story is that we order our stuff, we're starting to eat, and he gets done with his thing. He's getting ready to leave, and just unprompted, he's like, hey guys, how you doing? And I'm like, good, very good. Yeah. He's like, hey, did you guys go to WizardCon? I'm like, no, I really wanted to. And here comes the moment my wife completely throws me under the bus, and she's like, oh yeah, he really wanted to go when he found out you were going. And I'm like, shut up!
Oh my God.
Stop it, you're embarrassing me in front of Tommy. And he offers to get offers to give a picture, and so we get a selfie with him, and it is on my lock screen now.
Nice.
Yeah, so I saw that first picture of. So guys listening, the picture I first saw was the one he was talking about, where it's his wife is in the foreground of the picture.
Yeah.
And Jason David Frank is in the background of the picture, but you can clearly tell that Jason David Frank is the point of the picture.
It's in the very center. Yes.
It's like the very center. So I'm looking at your Twitter right now. I just now saw the picture that you guys took a selfie together, but I remember seeing that. It's just like, yeah, baby, I'm taking a picture of you.
Well, she knew what was going on. So anyways, then the cutest part, I put up a video. I don't know if I did on Twitter, so you might not have seen it, Nate.
You did.
I did? Okay, yeah. So I put up a video I showed my daughter the picture of what it was
Tommy.
Jason.
Isn't it Jason David Frank? His name.
Yeah, I was like, JDF is what I remember for some reason. Anyways, so yeah, I showed her the picture of Jason, and I'm like, you know what? So I held the phone up to my chest, and I'm like, babe, you know what happened? The other day we were eating, and we got to see the Green Ranger. She's like, you saw the Green Ranger? I'm like, yeah. So I showed her that, and she's like, that's the Green Ranger? Does he have his hat? And I'm like, no, honey, he doesn't have his helmet. It was just like, it was like just a proud father moment, because she loves the show, and it's like such a weird thing that something that was back in the 90s and something I enjoyed and just like watched every Saturday or whatever, right alongside the 90s, Spider-Man or whatever. It's so weird that it can come back around. Like, I mean, she's 3. It's 2018. She has so much to choose from, especially on Netflix. But the fact that somehow, unprompted by me, because it's not like I said, hey, watch this. She just happened upon it. I think she was on my phone or something. And so, she can navigate that way better than like the controller, because the controller is a little bit too big for her. So she can't do that on the PlayStation. But she just happened to be watching it one day. And I just happened to like look back, and I'm like, she really watched. And so I was like, hey, honey, can I see the phone real fast? And she was watching. I'm like, holy crap, this is so awesome. I'm like, do you like this? She's like, yeah, it's really cool.
So, Anthony, how old are you?
I am 31.
Oh,
Okay.
Wow, somebody's older than me.
So I'm the youngest out of everyone here, so I'm the closest to, like, I was born in 95. I'm 22. I was born in 95.
Okay. Yeah, you probably started out with Turbo, didn't you?
No, I didn't start out with Turbo, but the first one I remember watching, I started out with Morphin for sure, but the one I gravitated towards the most was Lost Galaxy.
Okay.
But so I'm probably apart from you, because you said you still watch, I'm probably the freshest, like, as far as like with the current ones. So for me, like I said, Lost Galaxy was my favorite, and it's still my favorite for the most part of the entire series. But I really honestly watched all the way up until, what was it? I think the last season I watched in full was Operation Overdrive.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember Jungle Fury came on, and I was like, yep, nope, this isn't for me anymore. Like, I had that conscious, like, okay, yeah, this isn't for me anymore. And so I was with someone who had a kid, and they were watching, like, one of the more recent ones. I think it was Dino Charge.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm like, I hate this. I was just like, man, this is totally for a completely different audience. But so after I had already gotten to that point with Jungle Fury, I remember I was a junior, and I stayed home sick one day, and I was like, hey, all the Power Rangers are on Netflix. Let me check this out. And so I put it on In Space. And I think it's Peter Griffin. You know that GIF of Peter Griffin where he turns on the TV and then turns it off and goes, done, and walks out? That was me. I was like, yep, no, this is just going to be a memory. I'm not gonna watch any more of this. So, but Power Rangers still has like a really deep meaning to me, you know. And then
Yeah.
like there's a cosplayer I follow named Patrick Sky who he works with Jason David Frank a lot as far as like doing Green Ranger stuff. And he actually cosplayed as the Green Ranger from the most recent Power Rangers movie.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, for the 25th anniversary. But going back to it, I don't care about any of the new ones, but I will watch that special, that 25th anniversary special where everyone comes back, basically.
Right.
I'm going to watch that
just
because
the 28th.
Yep, I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Power Rangers is something that, like, even though I don't watch anymore, I still cherish the memories I have with it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Same.
It's just it's one of those things that it's like I really wish like Saturday morning cartoons still existed in the sense that they do. I mean,
Yeah, Fox
you can
Kids era? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can still watch a cartoon and it could still be on Saturday, but it's just not the same.
They don't have the same blocks anymore. Like the Fox Kids block and the WB Kids, those blocks were like, those were events. You know? It's kind of like how the same way Toonami was an event. It's the exact same thing.
Good point, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, I think it's funny going back and watching them. I mean, obviously, there's a couple things you notice other than the fact that the girls don't have boobs.
Yep, I noticed that. Someone told me that and ruined my childhood.
Ruined it.
Every time I see them
Absolutely
suited up, it also ruined my childhood when I discovered that all of the footage is from the Japanese versions.
Right.
They just do the American VO over it.
Yep.
Right. Oh my god.
That's why they always end up in a quarry.
You're right.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, there was definitely some other stuff that I didn't realize. Like, I didn't realize how much they actually fought outside of the Megazord. Like, there's actually several episodes where it's like they just fight and, like, he's just in the T-Rex or he's just in the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Not only that, but how much they actually use their weapons. It's like, wow. For some reason, I always remembered them fighting the monster, then they fight it in the big form, then they do the Megazord, then they defeat it.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens most of the episodes or whatever, but it's like, it's all the little things that I totally forgot about, like, you know, and especially once you added in the Green Ranger, I'm like, that's when it started getting so good, and it's like there was an actual story behind it.
So my question for you guys is, let's have the end cap be Operation Overdrive, just because I think that was the last time, like, remember Jetix before Disney XD? That was the last, like, kind of that generation of Power Rangers, and then now it is what it is.
The Disney era.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask both of you, what is your favorite, what's the best, in your opinion, what is the best, worst, and runner-up from ending in Operation Overdrive? Like, from the beginning to that point.
Okay. Anthony, you want to go first?
Like, in terms of, like, series endings?
Yeah,
or
favorite series. Or, no, favorite series just in general. Like
favorite
Ninja
series in
Storm,
general.
or, yeah.
Okay. My favorite series is still the original. And then my runner-up, I would say, is Space. And then
too.
Yeah.
These are the voyages of the
And then is Lightspeed Rescue in that era as well?
Yep.
Yeah, my last one would be Lightspeed Rescue. I like what they did with that.
Okay. Nick?
That's a good question. Obviously, OG is definitely Mighty Morphin. I'd say the runner-up to that one, runner-up, I'd have to say, is probably, I'd say SPD. I really liked SPD and the fact that they were like, you know, they were space police and yeah, I don't know. Like, I really like that one, and just watching it with my daughter and whatever, like, there was a lot more, like, What I liked, let's put it this way, by this time it was the 12th iteration of Power Rangers, and they were still doing a lot of their stuff practically. Sure, they had some really cheesy CG, but they were still doing a lot of stuff in actual suits and stuff. And like, you know, you have to appreciate that. You have to appreciate that after 12 and however many, like the fact that they would still do stuff with, they'd still take the time, make the molds, make the costumes and everything. Like it's really nice, and I really liked it. And I was like, you know, like credit where credit's due. It was still a piece of shite, but it was still like, you know, they're still doing it. They're still making it, and they're not taking the easy way out. They're not just doing it to do more. It's, you know, definitely like I like it. So, and then I'd say my least favorite is actually Mystic Rangers. Because this is when they decided to be wizards.
So Anthony, what was your least favorite?
In that general sense was Lightspeed Rescue.
Oh, I thought that was your runner-up.
Rescue.
Was that your runner-up or your least favorite?
My runner-up was In Space.
Space. Oh, okay.
In space.
So for me, mine are different for sure, because I basically
You're a nerd.
Well, I basically started like heavy after Space. So all those and up until like Overdrive were the ones that I watched more than anything. So I had watched the original Mighty Morphin, but see, for me personally, I like the Mighty Morphin movie better than the 2 seasons of the original show.
I could totally go for that, because they actually got the real footage from the same show.
Yeah.
But those Zords are so bad.
Yeah. The White Ranger one was pretty cool.
The White Ranger looks good, but the rest of the Megazord is just, oh my god, what were they thinking?
So for me, I'm in the same boat as Nick. My least favorite was Mystic Force, and so it's a couple of reasons. One, I thought it was just kind of stupid. And so for that reason, I didn't watch.
Well, they were
really
trying to like figure out spells and stuff. Like, I don't know if like Harry Potter was coming out at the same time. So they were like, hey, let's jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, that was full blown like Harry Potter. Let's translate the Sentai into a Harry Potter-esque thing.
Yeah, I hated it.
So this one is harder for me because I really did enjoy a lot of these. I think my favorite for sure has got to be Lost Galaxy, because that's probably my favorite over the course of that series, my favorite story arc as a whole.
Yeah, right.
I liked what they did with the whole Green Ranger, White Ranger thing with the Black Ranger with the horns in Lost Galaxy. I don't remember what his name was. I just remember he was my favorite character because I dressed up as him as a kid for Halloween.
And they killed a Power Ranger too.
Yeah, that's right. So that's got to be my favorite.
Got real in Lost Galaxy, damn.
It did.
Yeah, no, it was like dark. Like it had a really, really good story. That's why I really enjoyed it. For runner-up, it's got to be either Ninja Storm or Time Force.
Time Force.
I did like Time Force. That was another good one.
I really liked both of those. Ninja Storm I liked because it was just 3 of them. Like, it was the first time I had seen just 3 Rangers and it focus on their story.
Do you guys know the story of what Ninja Storm was supposed to be before they put the kibosh on it? So the original plan was, this is what somebody laid out, was to have Tommy was supposed to come back as a mentor and run a ranger school. And those 3 that we saw were going to be his top 3 students. And then there was going to be another Power Ranger from the previous seasons who didn't like Tommy's philosophy and how he was running, and he made another version of the Power Rangers, and they were going to have those 3 top students, which ended up being the Thunder ones. And
thunder, feel the thunder.
Exactly. That song is terrible, by the way.
Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder.
Feel the thunder.
Gotta give up.
It's only one good Thunder song, and it's from AC/DC.
So basically, you're talking about Dino Thunder.
Yeah. So that's then they decided to bring him back. So what they were gonna do was have these two schools eventually just fight each other, and then the big bad would show up, and they'd be like, "Oh, we need to set aside all of our differences."
They were gonna BVS it.
Yeah. Set aside our differences and fight the main villain of the series. While in between that, also fighting the lowercase villains of that series separately, and then just clashing together. And Disney was like, "No, we can't do this. One, it's really expensive because it relies on all new footage that we don't have because of Sentai."
Lazy.
And then they were like, "There's no kids are not going to understand what's going on in this show and who a lot of these people are." So they went with Ninja Storm instead. But I'm like, I really like that idea of what they wanted to do. In there.
Yeah, Dino Thunder was really good too, but it definitely was starting to lean more towards where they are now, like as far as kind of more kiddie, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like Dino Thunder feels more kiddie than Ninja Storm to me. But that could also be because I wrote nostalgia glasses on. I don't know.
Yeah, I do wish I check in on it every now and then because I want to see if they're trying to evolve the product into not necessarily away from a kid's show, but just add more elements to it that make it adulty oriented. You can still have that mix between the two, and it's not leaning towards that; it's leaning towards the other half. But I do wish that it would be. For older fans, try to make a product that hey,
older fans, what the hell?
Yeah, we get Power Rangers. You guys love it. You guys are the ones that kind of watch this stuff. Here's a show for you, but they don't. Right. They don't.
That would
lean
be
into
nice.
That.
Well, see, all they're doing now is just adding more words to it.
Yeah.
So you had Power Rangers Mega Force, you had Super Mega Force, you had Power Rangers Dino Charge, you had Super Dino Charge.
I hate
Power
that.
Rangers Ninja
I hate
Steel,
that. And a lot
Power
of
Rangers
that,
Super Ninja
that's
Steel.
Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I know.
They have a mandate with so many episodes, so they have to do it that way. But it sucks.
Yeah. So
good times. So you guys can chime in. What do you guys think about Power Rangers? But more importantly, what should be the next Nick and Nate's 90s nostalgia? Just a quick reminder, our first one was Sock and Boppers.
More fun than a pillow fight.
Oh, man, I got wrecked in with one of those before.
Yeah, I got my ass beat.
So that was our first one. Then obviously we just talked about Power Rangers. So what should be the next Nick and Nate's 90s nostalgia?
Turtles.
Let us know. Let us know. We'll get some choices together and maybe have a vote and talk about that. So that's pretty much it for this show. All right, so that's pretty much all we have for this episode of Nerd to the Third. Come back next time and you can chime in. What is one of your most anticipated games for the holiday season? What are you most anticipating? Next time we're going to talk about our most anticipated game for the upcoming holiday season. So thank you so much for joining us, Anthony. Go ahead and remind everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube at Talking Bull, or you can find out all of our updates on Twitter at Talking Bull PC.
All right, and thank you, Nate, for always being a good co-host.
Yeah.
Thanks for being there.
Yeah.
The good times and the bad.
Yeah.
You're just pushing a button. Yeah.
Yeah.
My man.
Wait. My man. Wait.
Yes.
Wait.
Are you doing a crosswalk now?
Yeah. Wait.
I do the same thing. I'm like, wait. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us this episode of Nerd to the Third. You guys stay nerdy.
Talk nerdy to me.
Oh, that's perfect. That should be our sign-off. Thanks for joining us for Nerd to the Third, where you can always talk nerdy to me. Today we're bringing you the Power of Three with Nick, Nate, and the ever-rotating full chair. Full chair.
He's not a half chair. He's a full
are
chair.
full of it. You are so full of it. if you're a heavyset guy, I'm so sorry.
It's all good, man. It works.
Oh, there's a fucking spider right on my camera. Get the fuck out. It's on my laptop. It's on my monitor.
Run away.
Get off.
Run away.
Hold on. Wait. No. Ah! It was something I thought.
Did you just blow a load?
Yeah, I did. All over your chest.
Oh, that's
Who needs wax when I could just blow a load on your chest?
Jesus.
Okay, so I'm sending something in the chat. It's the trailer for that Shot Caller movie. If you guys want to look at it while I'm talking about it.
20-inch play.